The pipes are calling you. Oh my gosh, I have been working my absolute tail off the past few months. This has been crazy lifetime right now. But I want to talk about consistency today, following the theme of me being wildly consistent the past few weeks of all of this craziness with work, making life better, trying to evolve, become smarter, make the podcast better, all the good stuff. But basically, I've been working on filming my content library that I've created, which is a part of my private community, and it is 7 hours long. So I was sitting here with this microphone staring down the barrel of the camera for hours a day. I did it in 4 days, recorded 7 finalized hours of content. And this is on top of a million other things. I'm managing my rental property that I own back in North Carolina. That has been the biggest pain in my ass imaginable, but here we are. I've kind of adopted this mindset lately of just feeling kind of indestructible because the universe is just throwing everything possible at me, and I'm just getting this shit done, making it happen. So I'm kind of feeling some strength within the overwhelm, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I can kind of owe that to just being consistent, and yeah, it's business as usual. So for today's pod, I kind of want to just talk about the 3 keys to consistency. And these are fully made up by me, but they're purpose, perception of value, and discipline. So I'm going to talk through all of these ideas to hopefully have you walk away from listening to this with a little bit more insight as to how to be a more consistent individual. So the purpose thing is a really, really interesting one because you have to have something to care about to actually be able to focus and be consistent with it. So think about kids in school. Kids in school typically are not as consistent as the teacher or the kid's parents might want because they literally don't give a shit about what they're learning about. And the only reason that I was able to be consistent in school is because I took it as kind of a secondary, almost metaphor as, oh, if I can do well at this, I can do well at other things. I'm not the kind of person to be shitty at things, so I might as well be good at school. But I absolutely hated it. And I feel for kids in school that are basically being forced to sit there for 8 hours a day and told to focus and consistently turn in work and get things done and do well on tests regarding stuff they do not care about at all. And it makes so much sense why a lot of kids have trouble in that environment because they don't care about it. There's not a purpose behind it for them. And then when they ask, hey, what's the purpose of this? They get some bullshit runaround answer that absolutely doesn't resonate with them. And then they lose respect for the person saying it. They lose respect for the whole system around school. So purpose is a huge deal because it's the primary motivator to you getting anything done. And in this context of consistency, well, you have to have a reason to be consistent because essentially every day you have a choice to keep a promise or not keep a promise, or do the thing you're supposed to do or not do that thing. And when you're faced with kind of the resistance of not wanting to do it, I kind of categorize it, or I kind of create this imagery around it that life is asking you why. So if you're saying you should go to the gym every single day or every morning rather, and you wake up in the morning and the question is, do I go to the gym or do I not go? And if you're going to go, you're going to feel the pull of all the other stuff that's pissing you off or frustrating you, or maybe you're super tired. And in that, I kind of see life asking you, hey, why are you going to go to the gym right now when you've got a headache or you're mad or you're tired or whatever? It's literally looking you in the face and asking you why. Why would you go to the gym right now? And if you don't have a good enough answer to that question that life is posing to you, you're just going to not go. You'll say, yeah, you're right. Why would I go to the gym when I'm frustrated and tired, etc.? So the purpose, the answer to the why question, these things are ridiculously important. And again, a why, a purpose is the fundamental motivator to you doing or achieving anything consistently. So you have to know the purpose behind what you're doing. So if you're going to the gym every day, we'll use this example again. The intended purpose typically would be, oh, get fit, maybe lose weight, maybe gain weight if you're trying to build muscle. That would be what I call the intended purpose of the thing. We could use reading as another example. The intended purpose of reading might be to just gain more information or have some sort of entertainment, but I think a lot of people are reading to enhance their knowledge or their perspectives in some kind of way. So these would be the intended purpose for these certain things. Sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it genuinely is not enough of a driver to motivate you to actually do something about it. So the real responsibility, funny enough, is to fabricate purpose. And yes, I'm saying to pull purpose out of thin air, because we don't have magical purpose today like we used to. We used to just wake up and go, oh, damn, I have to make it to the next day. I have to survive. I have to find food. That's a pretty cool free purpose that humans used to have. We don't have that anymore because it's easy to survive in most cases in the modern day. So now we have to fabricate purpose. We have to come up with it. And again, pull the damn thing out of thin air. What is my purpose? I don't know. It kind of requires you to sit there for a long time and think about it and continue revisiting this and answer the hard questions of life. Have this dialogue in your head going on of, man, what is my purpose? What do I care about most? So the intended purpose of going to the gym, again, being looking better. Yeah, it's a cool why, but then when you really don't want to do it, it's probably not strong enough. Genuinely, I mean, if life is having that conversation with you going, hey, why on earth would you go to the gym right now when you absolutely don't want to? It's the last thing you feel like doing. You're tired, you're frustrated, etc. And if you're going, well, I want to look better, it's just not going to work. That is not going to be a strong enough thing to pull you out of bed. And I'm saying this in a general sense. I mean, maybe someone out there listening, maybe you freaking want to look better so bad, and that is strong enough. In a lot of cases, you really have to define, okay, is this going to be the thing for me? You really have to reflect. You have to know your own, I can't speak. You have to know your own priorities. You have to know what you care about, so that when life is asking you the question and you're kind of defining what your purpose is, you know what's going to work for you. But again, in a very general sense, something like just looking better, or for reading, something like just, I don't know, I just want to become smarter. Those things aren't going to be strong enough when you really don't want to. It's got to be something a little bit more meaningful to you. So consistency, to kind of tie it back into that, I think consistency is a byproduct of giving a shit. So if you cared so much to be healthy, be there for your family, have a long life, and that was really fueling to you, really give a shit about that, then you'll probably be consistent at eating healthy and going to the gym. If for whatever reason, and it's not a judgment of your attachment to a certain purpose, again, you have to define what it is for you that you care about. If you're not really tied to that, if you don't really care about it that much, if you don't give a shit about the longevity and the health stuff, you're probably just not going to be consistent at it. And again, consistency being a byproduct, it's kind of... the data speaks for itself. You know what I mean? The data shows how much you care about something. Because if you say, oh my gosh, I care more than anything to fix my diet and go to the gym, but you simply never eat healthy and you do not exercise, it's just a lie. I mean, I don't know if there's any room for gray area, because if you cared 10 times more about that thing, you'd probably be 10 times more consistent. So this is where I use kind of the care scale that you might have heard me talk about before, where it's 0 to 7, 7 being the days of the week. So if you cared a 7 out of 7 to do something, that means you're doing the thing every single day. Even when the world is on fire, you're still getting that thing done. 0 out of 7 is you're never doing it. And again, you don't change your score. The only thing that really reflects the score is your consistency in something, is how much you stick to it. So if you do something a 4 out of 7, you care a 4 out of 7 to do that thing. Now that doesn't mean it's a problem. You can care a 1 out of 7 about something, and if it feels aligned and it feels correct, then that's totally cool. But if you wanted to change that, the only way that you could change your care scale score here is by changing the data. So you'd have to do a 7 out of 7 for enough time for it to actually reflect that. So consistency is a byproduct of giving a shit. It's a tough one. So that's kind of the purpose conversation. That's kind of where my mind goes with the purpose thing. Now, perception of value. This is so tough when it comes to being consistent, because I think people are really able to be consistent when you're given an outcome. And I talk a lot about trying to dissolve the outcome mind and go more to the input mind, because when you can just say, all right, I feel some sort of satisfaction, I can track how consistent, or I can track how valuably I'm treating my life by the inputs that I'm doing, then you're going to find that the outcomes much later on are going to be a lot more fruitful and probably a lot more aligned with what you're actually trying to accomplish. So if you can say that you're doing the right thing every day, but you're not really getting something from it, but you know that the thing you're doing is actually in alignment with what you're trying to achieve, then you're probably going to be a lot better off. And this is kind of the hardest thing when it comes to just being the best version of yourself, whatever the hell that means. Trying to be a really good person, you don't get a lot of the rewards. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday about this, and he said, I'm trying to balance this external versus internal almost valuation of myself. And I said a lot of the cheap pursuits in life that really get people's attention, you're going to find that in that kind of pursuit, there's a lot more moments that are the, hell yeah, I freaking did it. And there's this celebration kind of feeling. But when you're actually just looking to have really strong character, and you're always looking for kind of the holes in your personality, or the holes in how you show up, right? And you're looking to be better and build that foundation, and you're always digging to the bottom and saying, how can I really be better? How can I really be honest? You don't have a ton of moments where it's this massive celebration, and that is the hardest thing ever. Because a lot of people want to become better to throw it in someone's face. They want to lose a bunch of weight and become fit and whatever, so they can throw it in the face of all the people that used to make fun of them. Or people want to make a ton of money so they can do the same thing. And when you're actually looking to get to the bottom of who you are and build that foundation, build the baseline, and evolve from there, you eventually realize that if you've truly changed, if you've truly become better, if you've truly been consistently building on who you are, you don't actually feel so attracted to throw it in other people's faces, because you're kind of past that in a sense. But again, this journey or this path of that side, it doesn't give you the super obvious outcomes. So it takes a lot of, it takes a lot of a kind of a modest approach to life in a way, because you don't get the flashy outcomes. And then you have to have a really, really sharp and honest perception of value, because people see money or, some kind of flashy relationship, cars, houses, all those kinds of things as the most valuable thing there could be, or, followers on Instagram. But any really in tune person knows that those things, they're not actually negative. They're not inherently bad, but they're just an extension of something. So you can have a bunch of followers online. That could be the worst thing ever, or it could be the coolest thing ever. You could have a ton of money, but money's an amplifier. So it could be amplifying your greatness, or it could be amplifying you being a piece of shit. It's just an extension of the individual. Whereas it's very hard to see the value of the true growth. You know what I mean? It's so hard to see the value of, hey, I kept a promise to myself every day for 100 days straight. And I respect myself a little bit more, and I'm working on communicating my ideas around those things. I mean, yeah, post that on Instagram. Who gives a shit? People want to see that you bought a Lamborghini. That's all people really care about, at least in short form. But, me personally, I have found the most growth. I've found the most fulfillment. I've found the most value, to put it simply, in working on the baseline characteristics, working on me. For a long time, I mean, I had been living the way that I live now for years, and I had nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? People, honestly, a lot of people would respect it now just because they can see that I have 460,000 followers on Instagram, and I make my own living. You know what I mean? But that's not the thing. That's just an extension of who I am. I've been working on who I am for years and years and years, and that's the true work. You know what I mean? So the input mindset, that's all I had. Because through high school, and I didn't go to college, but college years, people don't give a shit about any of that stuff of, waking up at the same time every day and doing the hard things, going for the runs, eating healthy, just building the ability to navigate healthy relationships, knowing how to communicate. No one cares, dude. I mean, that's what's crazy. And during those times, it's the ability to, again, perceive value properly that allows you to stick to those things rather than just chasing all of the external, flashy, whatever the hell, you know what I mean? So I just think that perceiving value in the right way, that's what allows you to be consistent. That's why consistency actually matters, but it's very hard to do. I mean, you have to see through a lot, and you have to keep working to see through it, because, I mean, everybody wants something to show for what they're doing and what they're up to. So 8 years ago, yeah, I would have loved to say, oh, well, I've run every single day and it makes me $1 million a year. But yeah, it doesn't really work that way. So building the kind of character, putting in the kind of work that doesn't have just a flashy outcome, kind of a really big deal. Now, the real value that I perceive in consistency is that it actually leaves no room for missing out on really, really positive happenstance. So some people are very fortunate at times. Some people kind of win the literal or metaphorical lottery at times. And you definitely have the opportunity to do that at some point. Maybe you just run into the right person at the right time and they change your life. You know what I mean? Maybe you invest in the right thing at the right time and it changes your life. Maybe you say the right thing at the right time and it changes your life. Who knows? Consistency, though, is what allows you to actually cash in on that if it's in the cards for you. So let's say that somewhere in the cards of the possibilities of your life, there's the situation where again, you say the right thing at the right time on an Instagram post or something. You probably wouldn't ever say that thing or post that thing if you weren't approaching the posting consistently, because everybody has some great ideas and everybody has some shitty ideas. But if you're going to have that one that kind of hits, it's probably only going to even happen because of the hundreds of other ones that maybe you tried. So you might get lucky sometimes, but you only get to experience the fortune of the luck, in a sense, if you're showing up, if you're not missing the day where that would have happened. So for me with the social media thing, I gained 220,000 followers from one video. However, I think it was my 1368th video, I believe, because I posted twice a day for 668 days before kind of a huge video really popped off for me. And, that surely there's luck, surely there's a billion things outside of my control that kind of went into that happening. But I only got to see that happen because of the 667 running videos and the 667 other videos of the 2 posts a day that happened before it. And I mean, there's no real objective analysis of what I'm talking about here. But if something great is going to happen, you might as well show up every single day so that you don't miss the day where something great could. So yeah, consistency doesn't really leave room for those gaps. It doesn't leave room for missing the golden lottery ticket. Now, should you go to the gas station and buy a lottery ticket every day? No, do something other than that for sure. Maybe save the $5 or whatever it is, and go buy a pound of beef every day instead of that, because your health is probably worth more than the actual lottery attempt. Because the mindset that goes into hoping to win the lotto, then being paired with winning the lotto, spends all of that money immediately and goes right back down on your luck. So, little mini rant. I already talked about this, but the outcome mindset is a huge trap. So consistency, it really ingrains self-respect. That's more valuable, but it's hard to see, because the input is difficult. You're not getting a flashy prize on the other side of it. There's not kind of a carrot dangling in front of you that you're running after. Real character, the real traits of a quality person are not flashy, but they're worth it. It's a lot more valuable, and anybody at the end of their life would tell you the same thing. Anybody that's put a lot of work into that side of their life or the side of themselves would definitely say the same thing too. But the outcome mindset is a trap, because if you're only doing something to get the outcome, like I mentioned earlier, it's not going to give you strong enough purpose for the day where life is really challenging you and the resistance is super heavy. So you're not going to be able to hold that consistency in the first place. But outcomes don't solve anything like we think they do. I mean, we see it all the time. Everything in this world is marketed as some sort of solution. It's an outcome mindset. Lose X amount of pounds, make X amount of money. And people really love to invest into that, because who doesn't want to purchase a magic pill that gets them what they're looking for? But then you get the post-gold medal syndrome, where you win the Olympics and this is what you've been training for your entire life, and then the next day you're back at home going, what the hell am I supposed to do now? And you lose 50 pounds and you go, oh, I thought this was going to solve the problem. No, it's just more mountains to climb afterwards. And it's not a bad thing, but you have to be expecting that there are more mountains to climb after you climb the first one or the one that you're currently on, so that you don't have a panic when you actually reach what you're trying to do. Because I would imagine that, let's say you're writing a book, scariest day, second scariest day might be the day you start writing the book. First scariest day would be when you go publish it, because then you think, well, what the heck? This is what I've been obsessing over for all this time, and now what? There's more life to live? This is crazy. But again, if you go into the things that you're trying to solve or the things you're trying to overcome with the knowledge that there is more life afterwards, then reaching goals isn't going to be problematic. Reaching outcomes isn't going to be problematic. But you probably only do that from not having the actual outcome be the obsession in the first place. So yeah, I think there's a lot to getting rid of the outcome mindset. I mean, I think the only way that reaching a goal is going to be a solution to your life is if you hit the goal and you just die right afterwards. that would kind of be the divine timing, of an actual outcome being the solution. But I usually say, yeah, I've got this set of problems that I have right now. I know that I'm not going to get rid of problems in general, but I really want to get rid of these. So I would love a new set of problems. That's kind of how I organize it in my mind. So the last of the 3 keys to consistency here would be discipline. So actually, I want to do a little check-in here with my disciplines. Hey Siri, how many days ago was June 13th, 2018? Oh, she's not talking. I thought that would be fun. It was 2,636 days ago. And then, so that's how many days I've been running in a row. That includes my crutching days when I crutched a mile for 28 days straight because I destroyed my ankle and foot. And then ice bath every day would be 936 days straight. And then again, been getting up at 5 a.m. every day for years and years. So the consistency thing, I mean, not everybody has to live that way, but I'm just trying to give myself the least chances to not fulfill my potential. And I feel like I'm doing that very well. It's just a peace of mind thing, but I don't wake up every morning at 5 and then go in the ice bath and then go run thinking it's going to give me some prize or direct outcome. It's being a disciplined person. And discipline to me is kind of, hey, how can I be the least bit in the way of what I'm trying to accomplish? So nearly everybody says they want to be more disciplined, and it's because when you're disciplined, your own weakness doesn't block you from achieving what you're trying to achieve. If you had no sense of resistance in your life, what could you do? What does your highest self look like? Being disciplined is kind of the vehicle to reaching that highest self. So kind of my check-in there on my metrics. Now, the core of discipline, I suppose, is doing things that you don't want to do. So it's going against your, I was going to say natural instinct to, I don't know, screw off. But I don't know if it's actually natural, because when we were in survival mode, I don't know if the brain was processing, oh, I don't want to do this. It was just, no, I have to go find food. There's not really much gray area of thinking there. But you have to do things you don't want to do. And if your emotions are driving your behavior, so the emotion would be, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I'm cold, whatever. That being the driver of your decision making means that your life is pretty much unpredictable. Your decisions are unpredictable because emotions are unpredictable. You can't really direct your emotions perfectly. They are volatile. Again, they're unpredictable. You don't know exactly how you're going to feel at a given time, which is totally fine. You can feel things all you want. I think it's very important to recognize the way that you feel, acknowledge that, analyze it, sit with it, all that great stuff. But if that drives your behavior, you've got a real problem. So again, acknowledge the way that you feel. Do not let it drive what you do. So every morning, my emotion would be, ooh, this is kind of heavy. I don't want to get in the ice bath right now. I don't want to spend 3 minutes with my mind under the microscope, struggling, trying to not freak out, really managing the way that I'm kind of perceiving the stimulus of the cold, handling the overwhelm. I don't want to, and it causes a little bit of this stress. But then I don't allow that emotion to change the course of my day. I show up to that thing because one more day doing that is one more day closer to being able to tolerate it more productively. And the difficulty of the world kind of stays the same. So if you become stronger in tolerating the world itself, then life actually becomes easier in proportion to what you're capable of. So lots to think on there. But emotions should not be driving the behaviors. Now, I talk about this a lot, but it's the discipline equals freedom dynamic, which I really like, but there's a little bit more to it. So discipline, right, not being in the way of yourself, allows for freedom, allows you to reach your higher self, do whatever you want. There are a lot of different kinds of freedoms and a lot of different kinds of disciplines. So most folks have the freedom to not wake up early, not do the ice bath, not run, not work out, not prep their meals, not do all of the life management stuff that I do. And those freedoms are actually real. There's a huge luxury to not having to do all that shit. But then the discipline, the work of that lifestyle would be wondering what it might be like to be the person that does all of those things, and wondering what it would be like to fulfill the highest self. And I don't like that kind of existential wonder. I would rather do the work, the discipline of doing the stuff that's a huge pain in the ass, but then having the peace of mind. So when the mind is at peace, I think that's a lot more luxurious of a freedom than to just not exercise. But I would say 99% of the world is kind of cashing in on the not exercise version, which is, it's just really unfortunate. And I wish that there was some sort of demo or preview of having the peace of mind, having just not your mind flooded with overwhelm when you're going to bed at night, just laying your head on the pillow and, okay, and going to bed instead of wondering, why am I not enough? So the discipline definitely equals freedom. You just have to choose which ones you indulge in. Now, just the discipline overlap with kind of this non-negotiable. So non-negotiable is how I categorize the way that I approach a lot of these morning routine things that I do. So the run being non-negotiable. I wake up and I don't contemplate, am I going to do this or am I going to not? Right? I feel all the emotions around it, but I know what the decision is going to be because it's non-negotiable. I will not negotiate on that. And when you remove the option to quit, you then can finally see what you're capable of. If the emotions drive the behavior, all you're seeing is what you want. And you already know what you want. The world knows what the world wants. We all just want to sit on our ass and not do anything. Unfortunately, we have the option to do that today. But I'm really, really interested in what can I do? So my question to you to kind of end off the pod here would be, what can you do? Because you already know what you want to do. So with that said, I hope you can walk away from this with some things to think on. I really love breaking things down in this way because consistency is just this word that's thrown out there. Oh, be consistent. You got to have a reason why. You got to be able to perceive the value of being consistent accurately, and you got to stay disciplined. And there's quite a bit of work within that. So maybe there's some homework again, maybe some things to think about, and hopefully it's all in the direction of making life better. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love if you click the subscribe button and give the video a like. It definitely helps me out quite a bit. And comment what you thought. Comment some questions or anything like that. I love to interact with you guys as much as I can, especially in reference to these longer form videos, podcasts, and then my other YouTube channel, which is a little bit more of the cinematic movie experience vlog, whatnot, which I absolutely love that too. So hearing from you guys is awesome. Somebody on Spotify, I believe this past week, said commenting to make Crew's day, and I replied, I said it worked, because it definitely does make my day when I see the podcast comments come through. Spotify, if you're listening or watching on there, make sure to give the show 5 stars. That helps me out a lot. And comment what you thought on there, because you can do that as well. I do have a newsletter, if that's something you'd be interested in. If you're tired of hearing my voice just yapping all the time, I'm kidding, I hope you're not. But if in addition to hearing that, you want to check out some of my writing, which I'm sending out twice a week, similar concepts to the things that I talk about, just trying to bring as much value as I possibly can. You can subscribe to the newsletter for free. I'll put the link in the description and show notes of the pod. But yeah, I send those out twice a week. It's really great. I put a lot of heart and effort into those, and I really think you'll enjoy it. So you can subscribe to that for free. Let me see here. What else is on my list? Ooh, almost the most important thing here. And it's 3 words. And you know what the 3 words are already. It's no phone dinner. No phone dinner. If you're eating dinner at any point today, or if you're eating dinner right now, this might have to be a tomorrow thing, and you're going to find out why. But don't have your phone with you. Do not have the laptop open. Don't have the TV on. Don't have the radio playing. Just sit with maybe your family or your friends or yourself. All of those are great options. Exist in the present moment. Be a human. Really, really embrace the humanity of the moment and sit without distractions. Give yourself the time and space to ask the hard questions and appreciate the hell out of a nice meal that you have the luxury to be eating in the first place. So no phone dinner, definitely do it. And comment if you've been doing it or did it yesterday or are going to do it today or are going to do it tomorrow. I want to hear about it. So check in on the no phone dinner. That's a huge thing. And if you want to participate in the No Phone Dinner Challenge, I'll also have that link in the description and show notes, so you can sign up for that. It's an ongoing thing. I did it for the month of August, and now I'm extending it to forever. So there is a leaderboard within the challenge, so you can see other people's No Phone Dinner streaks. There's a chat where you can ask questions. I'm in there engaging, answering people's questions, and asking other questions as well. So keeping up with the chat around the greatest habit you could ever implement, putting the damn phone away for dinner. I think that's all I've got for you. I know earlier in the podcast I mentioned that I created a 7-hour content library all around self-mastery. Every single thing that I teach on and speak on is embedded in that. That is in my private community. So if you want to apply to join the private community, that link will also be in the show notes and description. So you would have access to that 7 hours of content. You would also have access to a network of people that are all trying to be better through becoming more confident, through having conversations and thinking about life. Too many amazing topics to talk through and think about, and we get on a live call every single week and we're talking through these things in kind of a small group round table structure. So much to it. If that's something you'd be interested in, again, the link is in the show notes and description. Would love to see you there. And that's all I got for us today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Peace out, guys.